We are live. So, welcome to Hammer Time Podcast, episode 55 again? 55.6 right now?
Yeah, 55.6.
It's myself, Henrypmiller, and I'm once more joined again with the lovely voice of James MacDonnel from Ireland.
Yeah, thanks for having me back again.
So today on the show, we are going to talk about the final round of the group stages with House of War tournament. And we're going to go over both of our games and then talk about the next rounds, which is the knockout rounds. So the way that the tournament works is that there's 4 groups, and then the top 2 people in each group go through to the final round, which is like a knockout tournament. So something a little bit similar to like the NFL in America, like the top 2 teams in each group go through to the knockout stages, and then it all goes down to one final Super Bowl at the end, and we see who's the best. So before we start, I just want to do a quick shout out to myself. I've started a hobby YouTube channel. It's called HPM Hobby. You can find it on YouTube, you can find it on Instagram, and you can find it also on Twitter if those things are what you're interested in. It's basically going to be a mix of different hobby things that I'm getting up to. I think I've done a couple of videos now, one about how to build trees out of spruce and milliput. I've done one about freehand, and also one yesterday which was about what type of sculpting material is the best to use in what situation. So if these things are something that you think that you might be interested in hearing about, you can go over to YouTube and have a look at my channel. I will put a link in the show notes. So, now I've blown my own trumpet, let's go into House of War round 4. So, we looked at the way that the tournament was set up for the final round was that we both needed big wins, right?
Yeah, so I think we both needed 20s to have a chance of qualifying.
Yeah, because we were like
close.
20. We were 20 points behind Jeff, right?
Yeah, I
So
think
he
he was
was
on
pretty
50
much.
and we were on 33 or something. So we
Yeah.
had like a massive gap. But there was 6 people who technically could come either first or second, depending on the scores. So
Yeah, I mean
it was
Jeff had
pretty
to really
close.
fuck up. Like if Jeff got something like 6 points, and he was guaranteed to go through.
Yeah. So I think once he got like a small loss, even it was fine. But then it was all to play for second. So
Yeah.
it was pretty interesting. So you have half the group still competing, which is good.
Yeah, and that was quite cool. And
Yeah.
what was the prediction for your game?
I assumed it was going to be a big smash up, and I was hoping I'd win. So I told myself I'd win because you've always got to back yourself.
Exactly.
And yours was similar, I think, was it? You just decided you were going to.
Yeah, I was kind of like, in reality, it's probably a reasonably small win, maybe a 13 or something like that, if all things considered, and we're playing it honest. But I wasn't playing it honest. I wanted to go for the big win to try and go through the round. And I figured I needed about, based on the predictions that we made, I needed about a 14 or a 15 to, assuming that, I think, was it Trent and someone else who were playing against each other?
Trent was playing Frank, I think.
Yeah, Trent and Frank. I was kind of assuming that those guys would be draw-ish. So if one of those guys got a 12, I needed about a 15 or something to kind of qualify.
Second, wasn't it?
So I was really going for it in this game. So shall we take my game first?
You played first, I think, didn't you?
Yeah.
So there was 4 games that could influence it. There was you, me, Marcus and Frank were playing. Oh no, Marcus and Jeff, and then Trent and Frank.
Yeah. So I didn't take that many pictures, but I did take some pictures. So if you're watching at home, on YouTube, you can see the UB screen up now on the browser. So what we have here is the bottom of turn 2. Do you remember what the scenario was, James?
It was secure target, the 2 pennies kind of one.
Yeah. So you can see the 2 crowns here. One is roughly in the middle of the table, and the other one is towards the right. Fuck, hang on.
Who placed the pennies first? The crowns.
So it was Matt who won the role to deploy or to choose sides, and he chose the bottom.
Okay.
And I thought that it was more important for me to get the matchups that I wanted.
Yeah.
Rather than to go first, because I wanted to make sure that my knights got into the ghouls, and my Beauregard didn't get charged by ghouls.
Right.
So I wanted the Beauregard against the Beauregard,
Yeah.
and it was important for me to avoid the ghouls with the Beauregard and try and get my knights into the Beauregard.
Which
And
penny did you put down? Was
yeah,
it the?
so because Matt chose the deployment zone, he put his penny in the middle, which
Ah,
was
okay,
probably
right, so-
sensible because he had the hill and he could kind of zone it a little bit.
Yeah.
But that allowed me to put one behind the impassable terrain, which was a huge benefit to me because that means that all I need to do is just hide a scoring unit behind there, and he has to kind of. It makes it very difficult for him to root it out if it's behind the impassable.
Yeah, it makes your life very easy.
Yeah.
For him, doesn't it?
So and then after trying to trading off Chap a bit, he dropped to go first, which was perfectly fine with me. He moved up a bit. He tried to snipe my Necromancer, which he didn't do. And then it was my turn. I moved up a bit as well. I think I didn't get too much off in magic phase. Oh, actually no. So he raised a new unit around where the wall is.
Okay.
A unit of zombies. That was like one of the spells that he got off because I used all my dice to dispel the snipe on the Necromancer. And so in my turn, I just charged the zombies with the Beauregard and the Vampire, deleted them and reformed to face the center again. And then I used my magic phase to buff up the Beauregard because he was always putting the witchcraft attribute onto his Beauregard, which are in the center of the deployment zone. So if you're looking at on the YouTube video, you have on the left the ghouls with the banshee. In the middle, you have the Beauregard with the banshee and the vampire. Then the zombies with the necromancer to their right, and then to their right another unit of ghouls. And then behind them, the 2 units of wing reapers. So, as I said, I moved up the Beauregard in the front, in the middle, and kind of got rid of his chaff. And then in his turn, he moved the Banshee out to chaff up the Beauregard again. I'm not really sure what he was trying to do here, but I was just happy to take the 3 points.
Yeah, if there's no real threat coming out of it, it's not.
Yeah, and I don't know how he got his Phantom Host up there. I don't really remember, but maybe he. I think he maybe Ravens winged them.
Yeah,
to chaff the ghouls.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'm just going to charge them, and eventually I'm going to grind through because they're not going to do so much damage to me. And I have the 2 banshees in there which can do magical damage, and I can also cast the Glory of Gold spell onto the ghouls as well to give them magical attacks. So I kind of took that charge and then used my bat swarms to chaff his ghouls for the counter charge, and to make sure that the Beauregard wouldn't get flanked by the ghouls on the left. So yeah, this is my second turn right now. Where you're looking at. So I charged in the Vampire Knights on the right into the ghouls. Chaffed the ghouls on the left with the bat swarms. Charged into the Banshee, knowing full well that I would pop it on combat res and just reform and face the Beauregard. And I'm trying to sneak both of the Varkalax around the side to kind of get
the Varkalax are in nice spots there.
Yeah, kind of too far away from the Wing Reapers or just outside the charge arc, and just threatening the rear of all of his units, trying to get to the Necromancer. So in the situation here in the right with the Vampire Knights, I knew that he could charge his Wing Reapers in on the corner of the Vampire Knights, but the Vampire Knights are so good against the ghouls because they have a lot of attacks, and the horses also do quite well because they're strength 4. and I had the vampire on the revenant to kind of follow up with a charge if I needed to. But I actually figured I might just crumble away the wing reapers if they charged in on the corner, because
Yeah, there's a
only
chance you
one of
might
them
just
can
get
get to
both.
attack.
Yeah, it's always the fear with vampires, I guess, isn't it? It's that
Yeah,
you go to support something and you just lose both then.
yeah. So that wasn't like a too risky charge for me, even though the wing reapers could do a lot of damage against the vampire knights. So we're going to change now to the next turn. I believe it is. So as we discussed, pretty much what happened. In his turn, he charged the bat swarms. They crumbled and died. He charged the wing reapers into the vampire knights, and he charged his Beauregard into my Beauregard. In the magic phase, he did some sneaky shenanigans. He cast Touch of the Reaper off on my Necromancer, and I wasn't sure whether I should dispel it or should focus my dice on stopping the combat buffs to the Beauregard fight, and I went for the latter. And basically, what happened was he rolled 3 hits on the Necromancer and did 2 wounds, which
Right.
was pretty bad.
Yeah, but it's okay. I
But it's
guess.
okay. He's still alive. And then that was his first spell. And then he cast a couple of combat buffs that I dispelled.
Yeah.
And then he used Ancestral Aids, or what's it called?
Hasten the hour,
Hasten
maybe.
the
Was
Hour
it?
on the Necromancer to take the final wound. And
Right.
that was pretty good play by him. So my Necromancer died that turn, but luckily nothing crumbled.
He's your general, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I did have the flammable attribute from casting Glory of Gold on the Phantom Host the turn before on his Beauregard, which gave me reroll to wound.
Nice. Right.
So there was some stuff. The Necromancer had from beyond the grave had helped out a little bit.
Yeah, it's still
So
doing good.
in the combat phase, basically the Wing Reaper did absolutely nothing to the knights. I think I took 1 wound from the ghouls, and they slowly crumbled away because my rolls were pretty good against the ghouls. In the Phantom Host combat, I crumbled the Phantom Hosts with my ghouls and the 2 Banshees, which you can see have moved into base contact.
Yeah.
The bat swarms crumbled away, and he elected to overrun to try and get a double 6 into the ghouls, which he failed. I think he rolled double 1.
So now he's just handed you a charge.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that meant that the ghouls had a few options in the next turn. And in the Beauregard combat, he did 1 wound on my general, on the BSB,
Yeah.
and we both took a bit of damage. But I think I won combat because of my static and Legion banner, and he crumbled by 1 or 2.
Right. He's given up as well on Zone and the Varkalax, it seems, at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And I think moving the Wing Reapers into the middle was probably at this point a good idea, because me hunting the Necromancer with the Varkalak is kind of inevitable at this point. Now he's committed.
Yeah. And he's went kind of balls out at you. He's gone for the big win.
Yeah, which is completely understandable as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'd say you have to play at this point. But I think against vampires it's hard, especially when you're both vampires, because
Yeah.
the one that gets to take the charges and heal up is usually in a good spot. So
Yeah. So that was his turn 3, and then in my turn, I charged my. I realized that the Beauregard combat was the most important combat of the game. So I could have charged the ghouls with the 2 banshees into his ghouls with 1 banshee, and by law of averages, I probably should have won that fight and eventually ground him out.
yeah.
But I kind of thought, well, it's probably better for me to actually charge in against the Beauregard, because I really need to win that fight. So just by charging in, having 2 banshees and a few ghoul attacks is going to give me quite a bit of combat res.
Yeah, and then you can have both units free to deal with
Yeah,
the ghouls, ideally.
and the way that they would go in would mean that they were out of arc of the ghouls themselves, so I wouldn't get charged.
If you fail it, you're in trouble, though. Probably.
Yeah, I think it was like a 5 on two dice.
Ah, okay, right. So
it wasn't. I think it was a 10-inch charge.
Nice.
Or a 9-inch. Yeah, I think it was a 10-inch charge or something like that. So a 6.
Yeah, cool.
So I charged in the ghouls into the corner of the barricade, and I also charged in the monstrous revenant into the flank of the ghouls, because I figured a charge in the flank and some extra wounds from that guy would also be pretty good.
Yeah.
I could have charged them into the wing reapers as I planned, but they were crumbling pretty fast, and with all my attacks against the ghouls, I thought I might be able to crumble them.
Yeah, I think you're okay there. And the Varkalak can come in and
exactly.
save the day, I suppose, if he needs to.
But... Yeah. So both charges into the barricade, and then the zombies, which are now down to 5 guys. I think he was doing some kind of magic on them to reduce them.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. Oh no, they crumbled from the... They were the one unit that crumbled from the general.
Yeah.
And then the zombies moved over to take the objective on the right, which is behind the impassable. So that was kind of the plan all along. Yeah. Now I just need to make sure that they stay alive. So the next slide is... Let's see if I can pull it up with the stream. Yep. So this is after my turn 4.
Right. So you've countercharged in, beaten up some Beauregard.
Yeah. I countercharged in. He lost a load of Beauregard, and he took 2 wounds on his vampire from my vampire attacking him. I was strength 7, and I was like, well, I'm only going to get 1 chance to pump him.
Yeah.
And the vampire managed to do 2 wounds against him. And I crumbled the unit a bit more.
Yeah, it's looking good.
I killed loads and loads of ghouls, and I think I crumbled
the Reapers.
The Reapers, yeah, and turned to face his zombies and Reapers, which were kind of on the hill.
Right. So at this point, you're looking at a pretty good position.
Yeah. So he could have charged his wing Reapers into the Vampire Knights if he wanted to, but I think he made probably the right call at this point in the game to charge them into the ghouls.
Yeah, probably.
I will say that his dice for his previous unit of Wing Reapers were really bad. I think in 2 or 3 combat rounds he didn't roll any wounds against the Vampire Knights. He was hitting on 4s and just rolling like shit.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
But I suppose when it's a one-winged Reaper, if you just have a small bad spike, it's going to be more.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he charged into the ghouls with the 2 Wing Reapers, and I think he just reformed his zombies just to make sure, because he at this point with 2 Varkalaks and the Vampire Knights, he kind of knew that the Necromancer was not going to last very long, so he just kind of accepted it at this point. And the Beauregard were way too low to kind of make a big difference, and obviously the ghouls just turned to face. So then in my turn, I think I just charged everything into the Necromancer bunker, and I think at this point his whole battle line crumbled and he conceded.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So you got the score you needed.
Yeah, so I got the big 20 that was required of me. So I was actually looking pretty set at 53 points at the top of the leaderboard after the first round of game. Like, obviously everyone else is still yet to play, but I was pretty happy with my result there.
Yeah, I think when you texted me and said you got to 20, I was just like, oh fuck, because that meant I had to go get a 20 as well to draw with you.
Yeah, because we were on the same points, right?
Yeah, so the pressure was now on to it was 20 or bust at that point.
Yeah. So how about your game? I'm just gonna pull up. So this is so for those watching on YouTube, this is going to be James's game. And who are you playing against? You're playing against Ollie.
So
right?
I'm playing against Ollie that you played round 2.
Yeah, maybe? The Warriors with the 2 Chosen Lords and and the 2
Yeah, so 2
Feldraks and
chosen
the
lords.
chariot.
Yeah, and a unit of knights and some stuff.
Yeah. So
So
who chose the deployment zone? And it looks like he's dropped for the first already.
he has dropped, yeah. So it was marching columns. So he won the roll off. He started dropping from the left. So I started dropping from the left also. So I put down a wheel, he put down the flares, I put down a wheel, he put down the knights, I put down the other wheel. Because I was like, if he's like feigning here that he's gonna like jump everything over the other side of the house at this point, then I can like the 2 wheels can just come back or they can shoot while they're moving and it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Then he put down the Feldrak. I was like, right, cool, 2 wheels can probably do a Feldrak. And I dropped some footpads, but I was always going to go further over to the right so that I could get the right hand objective.
So it looks like he's cornering pretty hard here.
So yeah, so then all of a sudden I was expecting him to drop like wider so that he could come around me, but he just corners with everything.
Okay.
So I was like, oh,
why?
okay, because he says he's going to drop for first, and I was like, oh, okay, he's dropping for first.
Why would you drop for first if you're cornering?
I'm not sure, but he dropped for first and cornered with warriors. So this completely threw like any plan I had. And because we knew your score, I needed 20, he needed 18.
Okay, so he wasn't playing for the win then, surely?
So no, at this point he said that he hadn't been beaten in like 10 games with the Warriors or something like that. So he was basically just playing not to lose.
Okay.
So at this point,
Come on,
he
Ollie.
knocked both of us
Come on,
out of the
Ollie.
competition. Yeah, so we were halfway through deployment and he'd already like knocked out both their chances of catching up with you and breaking out of the group. So I was kind of, for a minute, I was like, do I go and push at him? Do I try and root him out of the corner and get the 20, break his win streak or his unbeaten streak or whatever it is and go for it? But I reckoned it was too risky that like if I ran at him, he was just going to pick my units up bit by bit. Because I think he outfights me and I think he could actually like run at me and beat me.
Do you don't think the disciples just delete stuff?
Oh, he's got the 5-up toxic Aegis saves.
Yeah, true.
It's just risky, and I think the 2 lords just eat whatever they touch. If I get combo charges on him, I can, but I think I'm 1-on-1 or even maybe 2-on-1 with certain things, like he wins. So I need to play a perfect game to do it. I didn't reckon I had it in me. So I went and got a couple of cans of Guinness out of the fridge.
You chat all the shit saying you're going to win 20-0, and then you've got to back yourself when you actually play.
But then he cornered. I didn't think he'd corner. So I was just like, all right. So then if you scroll down to the next one, I deployed like so.
I guess this is the end of his first turn.
This is the end of his first turn. So I vanguarded up a little bit, and he has thrown some missiles at the wheels, and he still hasn't left his corner.
No.
So I was still kind of wondering.
He's gone more into the corner.
Yeah, I was like, oh, maybe he's going to like do a mad burst out of the corner now that I've like kind of split my forces into, and like he's going to burst at the wheels and then try and flank me. But no, he just kind of stayed where he was, secured his corner, and did 2 wounds to the wheel with Hellfire, or I think it was Touch of the Reaper or something.
Okay. So in your turn, did you manage to do some wounds to that Feldra at Elder?
Yeah, so my turn, I decided I was going to push both wheels within 18 and shoot at the Elder.
Just to interrupt you, James, 1 second. For those people listening on the podcast, James has deployed quite wide compared to Ollie, who's basically have a whole Warriors of the Dark Gods army in about 18 inch by 18 inch of the top left corner of the table. James has his 2 wheels in the bottom left, his disciples kind of holding the center of the table, both unit of footpads, or the 4 unit of footpads, 2 on each side, I guess, to go for the objectives.
Yeah, they can take a run at either.
Yeah, and then the is it Vermingard?
The Vermingard, yeah.
Yeah, Vermingard kind of sat behind with the BSB, and then on the right side he's got both Monstrous Rat chieftains? No.
Tyrants.
Tyrants and the Vermin Demon on the right side.
Yeah. So those guys are pretty quick. They can sweep around, is the plan. the disciples can hold the middle, and because they're light troops, we can come forward and back and dance around for a bit. And the 2 wheels are just going to go up and harass that elder, because I reckoned I can go up, shoot him, do maybe 2 wounds on average. He needs a 10 to hit me on swift strides, which it's iffy, but hopefully he won't hit it.
Yeah.
Then I can shoot him some more, kill that, and then I can just start harassing his chaff because his block's too slow to chase down 2 wheels.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened in your turn?
So I shot at him, did no wounds.
So two wheels against a Feldrak.
Yeah, did no wounds.
Is it hitting on 4s or wounding on 4s?
Yeah, so it's like 6 shots, hitting on 4s, wounded on 5s, and then multi wounds.
Okay.
So it's like close, but
so you'd expect one wound to hit and go through, and then a couple of multi.
Then it turns into 2 with the multi. But
yeah.
Then so he had the 10. I was like, oh yeah, whatever, it's fine. Just take the 10. He hits it, gets into the wheel. So I was like, oh shit. So that's a bit annoying, but it's not awful. And I think if you go down to the next one, if we go back up, so where...
So it looks like from here, the Feldrak has kind of been deleted.
The Feldrak ate 1 wheel over time, and then the other wheel got the Feldrak, I think, and then got zapped off its last wound. Okay. So I've traded 2 wheels for a Feldrak, and that's essentially all that's happened so far.
Yeah. You've managed to get your top monsters right around the side of him.
Yeah, so he's ran up the side. He's got 14-inch movement, and I think Ollie just was like, "Oh, I don't really care." So the Vermin Demon's standing in the middle, throwing some magic missiles about the place, just trying to soften things up, because I reckoned if I can put wounds on everything, then like the single models, he can't charge the disciples, because I'm only then like a couple of 6s away from taking them off with toxic hits at the very start. So soften everything up, see if I can find a hole, but I wasn't going to go all out because I think I'm just playing into his advantage at that point. I have my penny pretty secure because he's going to have to come through my entire list to get it, but I'm probably not getting near his one. So at this point I was debating with the Monsters Rat that's up the top if he should go for the Feldrak. I reckon it was probably a bad charge. He could go for
maybe with only having done 1 wound. If you've done 2, maybe it's a bit nicer.
Yeah. I could go for the Chariot, which is res 6, but I've got a breath weapon and I've got attacks. I've got like 9 strength 5 attacks and a toxic breath weapon. It might be okay. And then I decided to go for the Chariot. So in his turn, he kind of just turned around to look at where the Monster Rat might end up.
Yeah.
And then I charged into the Chariot. It was way closer than I thought it would be, but I just about broke it.
Yeah.
I overran, and I needed like an 8 maybe to hit the front of the knights from where he'd positioned when he turned around.
Okay, so he's kind of turned his knights to the right, and also the Chariot to the right.
So if we look at the next one, say it's his top 5.
Yeah.
So I've beaten the Chariot, it's fled, and then I missed the knights by like an inch. So now I'm just standing there in front of the knights, and that's not where he needs to be. So
this is the top of 5. So literally nothing has happened apart from
nothing has happened. We're both standing.
The 2 wheels trading for the Feldrak, and you just charged and killed the Chariot with a Monster's Rat.
Yeah. So at this point, I've given up on like there ever being a fight or there ever being anything interesting that's happening, and I decided the Vermin Demon should start zapping some chaff just to try and pick up some points. And I'm praying that Chariot doesn't rally, because if the Chariot doesn't rally, then the Monster's Rat dying isn't so bad because I'm up some points.
Yeah.
But if the Chariot rallies and the Knights pick up the Monster's Rat, then I've just handed him a TP or so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're still squaring off. He has a Relentless Company banner on his
the Warriors,
block.
Right? Yeah.
So I'm waiting all game for like this big 15-inch march, and every turn I'm waiting, positioning, waiting to see like where could he throw him that I'm now like in trouble because there's 2 lords up my flank or something.
Yeah.
But he never like even pretended to want to do something with it. He was like, right, I'm standing here. You can't push at me, and I'm not pushing at you. And I was like, right, okay. But I was constantly afraid of overstepping in case he could like burst past me and then pick up the backfield and maybe win secondary or something.
So what happened here? Did the chariot rally, and did the warrior knights kill the monstrous rat?
The chariot fled, went off the board, which is pretty good, and then the warrior knights charged into the rat. I think they fought it for like 2 turns maybe and bet it.
Yeah.
And the vermin demon managed to zap off both his chaff units, and I think panicked the dogs or killed the dogs last turn maybe.
Okay. Cool.
So I ended up picking up all the chaff and the chariot, and I lost the monstrous rat that's in the middle of his lines, and then that was the end of the game.
Okay, so it looked pretty 10-10-y?
Yeah, so I think I was up like 170 victory points, and that was it.
Okay, so it was a 10-10.
Yeah, it was a pretty low scoring game. I think we killed like
fucking Ollie again. I had the same, pretty much the same
1,000 points each. So I think he finished the event with like 5,000 victory points, which for a Warriors army is like a game or two's worth.
Yeah, 120-0 or
two.
Four games of 1,000 points.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's an interesting tactic. I've never seen a man corner and just draw 3 times with Warriors.
Yeah, I'm not sure
what. But he finished above me, so clearly, like I'm doing it wrong and he's doing it right. So
maybe. So if you were gonna play this differently, let's say like, would you deploy differently, or how would you try and force the 20 on this game, knowing how Ollie deployed?
I wasn't sure. I was talking to a few people after, and like, if you go back to where I deployed, like the wheels are probably a little bit wide. But I was kind of hoping that if by putting the wheels out there, he'd start to spread out to try and get them.
Yeah, I guess you didn't realise he was actually going to corner, but I'm assuming that you both had 3 units down at the point that he dropped.
Yeah, so he had the Flayers, the Knights, and the Elder down.
Yeah.
And I had the 2 things and the footpads, 2 wheels and the footpads.
Okay, so I think for me, I never deploy, if he's going left to right on marching columns, I never deploy left to right. I think it's always much easier to deploy right to left, or the opposite of what they're deploying, because it gives you a bit more options. Let's say you would have deployed right to left in this game. So what I would have done is started off with the footpads on the right.
Yeah.
And
just
then
dropped 4 footpads or whatever.
Yeah, just drop the footpads and then drop the footpads. And then at this point you would have seen, okay, he's got warrior knights behind the chaff.
Yeah.
And then at this point you get, okay, I'm going to put a wheel down on this side, probably the one to the right compared to the one that you've put down.
Yeah.
And then that would mean that if he's just using the warrior knights to kind of hide behind the hill, and then on the last turn jump up and take the objective, then you have that wheel to charge him or shoot him. So the wheel can then hunt the warrior knights.
Yeah.
And then what? So you can kind of say, okay, well, my wheel's going to go there, but obviously you're not going to pull it down at that point. You probably could have at this point put down the vermin guards where they are, let's say.
Yeah.
And then, because your characters can go down anywhere, right?
Yeah, they can break.
And then at this point, he would have dropped. So you would have had both wheels, all the characters, all the disciples, and 2 scoring units to kind of choose where you want to attack him.
Yeah.
So you could have really engineered like a full frontal assault with the disciples, with the wheels and the characters all backing it up, and then the 2 units are scoring behind them just to claim the objective.
Yeah, and just tried to grab both objectives.
And really, really pushed him hard if you wanted to go down that route.
Yeah, maybe that might have been the thing. Yeah, maybe that was the key, was like deploying against like the opposite way to him.
But I mean,
what way I'd chosen to deploy when he cornered, I kind of had no choice other than to
Yeah, I guess it was a bit of a surprise. I think if I was playing Warriors in like the last round of a tournament and you both needed 20, then I would have expected him to deploy on the right side as well.
Yeah, or like spread out like mad, because like he doesn't need bubbles, he doesn't need any of that stuff. He can run around,
Yeah.
tower off footpads, just cause bother and like pick up some charges, but
Yeah,
no.
exactly. So this game ended 10-10, which meant I was still pretty much in the running for finishing second at this point.
Yeah, you were sitting there nicely. So you had Marcus and Jeff to play, and then Jeff was already pretty much through.
Yeah.
He was on 50. You were on 53.
Yeah, I was on 53, so he had to
Yeah.
kind of avoid. He had to get 3 or more points basically.
Yeah, and then the other two guys needed. So Frank and Trent. Someone needed, what was it, 14 maybe to beat you?
I think Frank or Trent needed 14 to beat me.
Yeah.
Which was, I think we predicted the game to be pretty tight. So I was at this point I was quite confident that I was actually going to go through. But I'll put the results now. So Trent actually beat Frank 16-4, which was a bit annoying. So good win for Trent there. A very good job against the Dwarves.
Yeah, so he played against the Dwarves, and it was like a really blocky Vanguardy list. It's probably something hard to deal with.
I don't suppose you saw the game.
No, I didn't know.
No.
I saw a bit of Marcus's game against Jeff. So Marcus managed to be the only person to beat Jeff, but he didn't beat him by enough to get
qualify.
through.
But I think as well, Jeff was probably playing very conservative. I don't know, but I would imagine he didn't need a big win to go through.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Marcus after, and Marcus said he really played for it. Like, he still played for the win, even though he just needed like 6 points to be guaranteed first place or something.
Fair play. So it was a solid game from Marcus then.
Yeah, I think Marcus said what happened was his Omen ate like 15 or 1600 points worth of stuff, and just like ate his way through all the chariots and single models and did Omen things.
Because we kind of said that it was pretty bad for the Omen because of the impact hits.
Yeah. So I thought he was just going to keep challenging, but no, the Omen kind of worked his way through everything. I think got to keep picking his charges, and I think Marcus was really happy with how the game kind of panned out. He got the win. He's the only man to beat Jeff, so that was good going.
Fair enough.
And it was only by 11-9, so
yeah.
Jeff's still pretty untouched. Nobody's cracked the list properly.
Yeah, so Jeff number 1 at 59 points for the Warriors. And Trent number 2 with 55 points with Vermisworm. Myself with 53 points. Unbeaten, just saying.
Yeah, and a pretty good score considering it was an experimental vampire list that you'd picked up.
Yeah. You say it picked up like I stole it from someone, but this was my own creation.
That you came up with and that you just kind of decided to use for this event. No, not that you stole it.
Just a bit of a random thing. Marcus in 4th place with 47. We had Ollie, the corner master, 5th place on 46 points, also unbeaten, as he said. And then James, yourself, with 43 points on Vermisworm in 6th place. So it's pretty good going, 6th place.
Yeah, I was happy. I'm not used to playing aggressive. I'm usually like Ollie and just corner up. So it's been a fun learning experience. I got like nearly 12,000 victory points, or 12,000 victory points.
Yeah,
which is unusual as well.
Second most victory points.
So I was pretty pleased. Third most, yeah. But I was pretty pleased with getting to pick up those, and yeah, it was fun.
I think 43 points off 4 games is pretty solid with an army that you're not that used to.
Yeah, it was okay, and everybody I played ended up above me, so I didn't get beaten by someone who didn't. So I played Trent, then I played. Who did I play after that? Oh, I played Rob. No, Rob didn't finish above me. So I played Trent, Rob, you, and Ollie. So it was good. It was a tough couple of games. I think it was interesting. I'm enjoying the Vermin Swarm, and I think I'll stick with them for a while.
Yeah, so it was a good choice to take the Vermin over the ID.
Yeah, it was a nice change of pace from just shooting and pyro and things. And it's good to change it up a bit.
So neither of us got through, unfortunately. I was very close, just 2 tournament points in it. Okay, so James, what happens now? So we got knocked out, but Trent and Jeff go on.
Trent and Jeff go on, yeah. So Jeff gets to play the 2nd place player from Group A, and Trent, because he came 2nd, plays the 1st place player from Group A. So, quarterfinal 1 is Amit Hindosha, the Team England captain, against Trent.
So let's take a look at this matchup.
Yeah, so we had a look at this, I think, the last episode.
We kind of predicted Amit would take
coming out the top,
Yeah.
And we liked it because it wasn't 40 Lemures and a bunch of hoarders.
Yeah. It's just 5 chariots, 2 blazing glories, all the single ladies build.
Yeah, but at least it's more interesting. Yeah. It's something different.
Some MSU core and some MSU units. So loads of units.
And
loads of chariots.
5 instances of the hereditary spell.
Yeah. Just 5 marks of the Internal Champion.
Yeah, why not?
So lots of pew pew, and then let's just have a quick look over Trent's list.
Yeah, so Trent has a Vermin Demon and some stuff, so he might not like getting bolted 5 times a turn.
No, but he does have Divination.
He does, which is quite good.
And the Catapult is okay against the small units. Do we know what the objective is?
Maybe I'll look it up. So it's gone. The objective is Spoils of War.
Okay, so three things to pick up.
The 3 things, that we carry around. So it's going to be pretty close, I guess.
Yeah, everyone's got a lot of scoring units.
The Pendulum's going to be good to pick up 1. Yeah. Because I don't think Amit can fight the Pendulum.
Probably not. I mean, if he can probably put the Horde Threshers into it and just destroy all the Brotherhood, to be honest.
Yeah.
And win combat. Like if he gets
one of them, it's
still
going to be a stubborn 9 Pendulum.
Not if the ranks are gone.
The Vermin Demon gives a discipline 9.
So. Yeah, true.
Yeah. Yeah, it does work, but I think if Amit can combo charge that, then he might break it, but it's going to be a problem. But the chariots are just going to eat up all the other things, I think.
Yeah. Even the Plague Disciples are going to struggle.
I think it's going to be quite close, but
I think in this format, when you only need to win by 1 point, I think Amit will probably run away with this one.
Yeah, I think he can declare a lot of longish charges with chariots just to try and pick up some bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And then just spamming bolt throwers after he fail charges off 11s and 12s is probably a thing. And just
I don't think it will be a big win. I think it will be an 11 or a 12.
Yeah, that would probably make sense because he's not going to be able to crack. It's too much work, I think, to crack the Pendulum or the 50 guys. And Trent's pretty good. I don't think he's going to let his Vermin Demon get caught. So
yeah, and I think as well, if I was Trent, I would probably be deploying on half of the field and pushing on 2 objectives.
Yeah.
And I think Amit has to play kind of wide to cover all his bases.
Yeah, so Trent can probably lock down 1, if not a second.
So I think the objective is going to be pretty drawn on this one, like a drawish objective, but with a small advantage to Trent. But I think there's going to a bigger advantage to Amit just be able to take points from the small units.
Yeah, even if he can just pick up a Dreadmill or some Giselles or something with the spells, it's going to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair thing. So good luck, Trent, but.
Yeah, we think Amit will probably go through on this one. Yeah. So
prove us wrong, though.
Who's the next game? We've got 2 familiar faces. We've got Colin Power and Jack Chapman.
Yeah, so Colin, who won't stop fucking winning things, is playing High Elves this time.
Interesting.
And Jack is also playing High Elves.
So let's take a look at Colin's list.
Yeah, you're the High Elf expert. Yeah, I can't tell if this is going to be really boring or really interesting.
It's semi-interesting, but let's see. So he's got this pretty standard Queen's Companion Prince build with the spear plus Obsidian Rock. He's got a pretty standard commander build, just a BSB, Cranrig Tower, Great Weapon in his pants, with double Eth Icon and Elu's Heartwood. And then a fairly standard Griffin build, Commander. Shield, Dragonforged Armor, Demon's Bane, Lance, and Diadem of Protection. I think this is pretty go-to Commander build. I really like it.
Yeah.
So far so good.
It's pretty cheap, yeah.
Yeah. He's also gone for a Mage on Divination. So I think you don't always see the 4 characters in Highborn Elves. I think usually you're probably going to see the Mage, the Commander, and then either the Prince or the Griffin guy.
Yeah.
So he's kind of gone for all of them, which I think is a pretty good choice as well. It's somewhat similar to my ETC list. So instead of the Griffin Commander, I went for a Dragon on the Mage, but otherwise it's like fairly good, I think, the character section. Lancers, I do not understand them. I think they're wasted points, but
they're so bad.
Yeah, maybe Colin is just better than me.
Yeah, I don't know. He seems to make anything work, though, so I don't think that means Lancers are good.
I think maybe, assuming Colin's going to win the tournament, because he's probably one of the best players right now, we should do a little interview with him and ask him about these Lancers, because I don't know.
Or just how to play 9th Age in general, Libby.
Yeah. Teach us how to play 9th Age.
Yeah.
Alright, so 20 Spears with no Musician, 5 Lancers with no Musician, Reavers, 5 Rymanites with a Musician. Then is the meat of his list, which is a little weird to say that, but he's got 19 Queen's Guard with a Standard Bearer, Musician, and a Banner of Bakami. He's not even got a champion in there, which is a bit beyond me. Like, when you get all your characters are probably going to go in there, so or maybe the Mage is going to go in the Spears, but the High Prince is definitely going in there. So having the option to challenge is pretty useful, I think.
Yeah.
Then he's got 2 Sea God Reapers and a Sky Salute. So there's a lot of pew pew, a lot of divination, and some fast scoring.
I don't understand this list.
No?
What's he trying to do? Just shoot.
Shoot and zone and score. So pretty good.
Yeah.
It has a lot of output. Like 19 Queen's Guard is insane. Like
why aren't the
Lancers
also
just reroll to hit with them with the divination?
Yeah.
And give them +1 to hit with a BSB.
Yeah.
And you're quick to fire as well with the Queen's Companion.
Right, so they're just going to lift things between them and the Reapers.
Yeah, and stuff doesn't really want to go in there. Like, I'm also surprised they didn't put Spears on the Queen's Guard. I think I would have taken like 1 less Queen's Guard and taken a champion and some Spears. But
yeah, it's just a weird list.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm not sure it's that weird. I just don't think it's like what you regularly see. I think it's a good list though.
Yeah, just the fact there's no Sea Guard, there's no Swordmaster, there's just none of the kind of staple things. It's kind of confusing me.
Yeah, I mean, I think this will struggle against something like Ollie's list because you can't really touch those warriors so much. I mean, I guess you got enough shots maybe. I don't know.
They're probably just going to walk them down though, so it's risky.
I don't know. I think it's just got enough shots to, and high strength shots at that, just to take stuff off.
Yeah.
It's a pseudo gun line, I think, with a lot of fast, high impact threats.
Yeah. So what's Jack got then? Jack was Group D, was it?
Yeah. So also Highborn Elves.
Yeah, he's been raving about chariots lately, so it's probably.
Yeah, that looks about right. He's got the standard Huntsman. Actually, not so standard. He's got Huntsman on a chariot, Dragonforged Armor with Diadem, Ghostly Guard, and a Kingslayer on a Great Weapon. So that's a 1-up, 4-up, or a 3-up, 4-up against Magic with the Kingslayer. Pretty good build. The only way I would change it is probably use Basalt Infusion instead of Ghostly Guard. But I think Ghostly Guard is also fine. And then he's got the second commander on a chariot with the Royal Huntsman, shield. This is where the Basalt Infusion is, and Tasman of shielding, so that makes a bit more sense.
Right.
With the Great Weapon as well. And then he's got the Cranrig Tower BSB. Then he's got the the mage with divination, wizard master as well. So quite a similar list to Colin. Maybe they're feeding off each other a little bit here.
Yeah, he's got Asfad though, so he's
Asfad Scholar is a little bit different,
extra
but
6 inches.
Extra range, yeah, and the Drain Magic spell.
Yeah.
So I think that's again a solid character section. 20 spears with a musician this time. 5 reavers with a bow this time. Then he's got a big unit of Sea Guard with Navigator Banner and Full Command. 718 points. Ouch. I think this unit doesn't really work without the spear character, personally.
Yeah,
it's a bit too expensive with the Navigator Banner to actually do that much in combat. Otherwise, it's just a shooting block. 24 Lion Guards with Full Command, no banner. 1 Reaver Chariot. I assume that's to hang out with the other 2 characters. And then 2 Sea Guard Reapers and a Frost Phoenix with Warden's Bond.
So this looks more like a high elf list, a highborn elf list to me.
Yeah, this is a bit more what you might expect, right?
You've got one of the great weapon wielding special units, and you've got a big block of Sea Guard. So
yeah, I think the Frost Phoenix synergizes really well with Divination because it's supernal, and you can put the attribute.
So the minimized rolls just keep it around forever.
Yeah. That works pretty well, and I think the divination combos really well with the Lion Guard and also the characters. So I think this list is maybe a bit more synergistic than Colin's list. It certainly gets my seal of approval from like a list building perspective.
Yeah, this one looks interesting. The Sea Guard, like you were saying, they were so expensive, 718 points.
Yeah,
but it is core, so I suppose it's not.
So, who do you think has the advantage?
Can Colin shoot it all off?
I'm gonna say Jack actually probably has the advantage.
Yeah, because if there's no way Colin fights like most of this list.
No, I think the Lion Guard are pretty key in this because they have a 3-up save against shooting as well. It means that they're going to be sticking around for a while. I think this is Jack's game to lose. He can definitely push because he's got the Phoenix. He's got the probably the unit of chariot guys, and he
can probably grab 2 of the tokens with a block each, can he? And then just
for sure. And he's got the Citizen Spears for scoring as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is probably a pretty good match for Jack.
And then whoever wins this plays whoever wins between Amit and Trent. So I think whoever wins this is going to the final.
Yeah, you'd expect so, right? Because if Amit wins small, then both of these lists are going to be pretty good against the demons.
Yeah, and I think they're both good against the Vermin Eater. So I think if whoever wins this is going to be in the final,
yeah, a lot of pressure then.
Highborn elves are OP, maybe. That's how they've risen since this time last year. When
maybe they just have better players playing them.
Maybe it could be instead of you and Furion just towing the line.
All right, so the next one is Jeff, who we talked about from our group against Alistair Parron. So let's quickly go over Jeff's list right now because we can go over this one a bit quicker. Yeah, so this was all the chariots, all the Feldraks, and all the chaff. Yeah. And 3 barbarian chiefs on chariots, 2 units of 10 Lust Warriors, 2 units of Fallen, 4 units of 3 Feldraks with halberds, 3 warrior chariots, and 2 units of flayers with shields and throwing weapons. I don't think we need to say any more than that.
No, it's just somebody needs to stop it at some stage, but it hasn't happened yet.
So then, Alistair, I think you should take this one because you are the resident Orc and Goblins expert.
Sometimes. So he's got a Goblin King on a Gargantula with Shield Breaker on paired weapons and an Obsidian Rock. Seems to be a popular choice at the minute. Feral Orc Shaman on a boar with Wizard Master on Thaumaturgy. Orc Warlord on a boar with paired weapons with Supernatural Dexterity and Essence of Mithril. So 3 characters He's got the Warlord. Why is everyone putting their shamans and boars all of a sudden?
Has he got no BSB?
He has a Great Green Idol BSB down the bottom.
Okay, yeah.
So he's got Warlord thing. Then 13 Orc Boar Riders with shields, standard bearer, musician, and a champion. So both characters are probably just jumping in there.
Yeah.
They're just going to be a bus because they're not that great themselves. Then 20 Feral Orcs with spears and 2 20s with paired weapons. No command groups on any of the blocks. So keeping them cheap.
Yeah.
He's got 8 Cave Trolls. So pretty solid. Get MR3. They have a 4 up, but they just require so much babysitting, I think.
Yeah. But he's got a big bubble, right?
No, because the Orc Warlord is the general, so he's got 12 inches from the Orc Warlord. Then 2 Boar Chariots, pretty solid. 5 Goblin Raiders for chaff, and 3 Grotlings, always great chaff as well. And then 2 Great Green Idols, and 1 is the BSB.
Quite like this list actually. It's got like a lot of threats. It's got the Warlord and the Boars, pretty scary unit.
Yeah.
It's got 2 idols, which can be fairly scary. He's got a big Gargantula, he's got a unit of trolls, and he's got all the orcs for scoring. I think this is a solid list.
Yeah, I think so too.
And he's obviously done well getting this far.
Yeah, so we've got 3 monsters, 2 chariots, and then a big smashy lord. So there's a real theme, I think, going between all these lists of chariots and single models and things being popular. It's quite good, but can it take on Jeff's thing?
Yeah, I think it's like, I think I would say that Alistair probably has the advantage here.
I'm not sure, because if certain things start to die in Alistair's list, I think it goes wrong horribly quickly.
Yeah.
So
I just,
if you start taking out BSBs and generals and stuff, like the trolls become useless.
Does the Green Idol, does that have magic res?
No.
No. Because there's going to be magic res on the big spider.
Yeah, it has magic res 2, and the trolls have magic res 3.
Yeah. So I think the evocation magic is, I mean, he only really needs to worry about the snipes, I think.
Yeah, the general has no.
Yeah, no Aegis save.
Special save. Oh, sorry, he's feral, so he's a 5 up.
Okay.
But still, that's risky. But yeah. I think it's going to be close, but I think warriors are just better equipped for this kind of thing than orcs are.
I guess he's still got the Feldrax actually, yeah.
Yeah, so like after you fight wall after wall of chariots, you're going to have to take on 12 Feldrax.
Yeah.
At some point, the general or something is going to either be run far away or he's going to die, and then things are going to start breaking. And it's just going to get messy for the orcs, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think I'm going to give it to Jeff, but I think it's going to be really bloody and close. But the warriors, with their immunity to discipline issues, I think are going to take it.
I'm not sure. I think the orcs could do pretty well here. Those trolls are going to take some shifting. Are trolls scoring?
No. So he's got 4 scoring units.
I think this
which is good for orcs.
I think this would be quite an interesting matchup.
Yeah, it'd be a good one to watch for sure. But
yeah.
I'm going to back Jeff just because he also came top of our group. So
yeah,
if he does good, it makes us look not as bad for getting knocked out.
Yeah, I think Jeff, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I think all those chariots. Let's just have another quick look at Jeff's list. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it would be quite close.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's have a look at the last one.
Pretty good. So the last one is
Jacob Courtine and Mikey Newman.
Right. So Mikey's on vampires, I think, and Jake is on infernal dwarves.
Where am I looking?
There's not too many dwarves in this list.
So Mikey Newman, Vampire Covenant. So he's got the Master on Alchemy, the Necromancer, with the General. Barrow King, BSB, Ghosty Guard, Crown of the Wizard King, Rod of Battle. Interesting build. Quite like it. Second Necromancer on Evocation with Magical Heirloom. 3 Banshees. 2 times 24 Ghouls. 20 Zombies with a Musician. 27 Barrowguard with Halberds and +1 to hit. 4 Phantom Hosts, 6 Vampire Knights, and 2 times 2 Winged Reapers. So this is quite similar to Matt's list, who I played in the last round.
So Banshees and Ghouls are all the rage, are they? And Barrowguard these days.
Yeah, Banshees and Barrowguard seems to be the. But they have Halberds, whereas my guys have Hammer and Shield. So, but no Vampire in this list. I think the Vampire Knights are replacing the Vampire. But otherwise, it's pretty similar to Ollie's list. Not Ollie's list, sorry, Matt's list.
Matt's list, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's see who he's playing against.
So Jake is down the bottom in group. Yeah.
Infernal Dwarves. So I have no idea what this is, so you're going to have to take it.
So he's got a Prophet and a Great Bull on Occultism with Magic Res 2. So it's basically just a Wizard Master and a Dragon. He's got a Tauric Commissioner, BSB with Willow's Ward, Basalt Infusion, an Infernal Weapon, Talisman of Shielding, and Luger's Dice. So it's just a really tanky cowboy.
What does Luger's Dice do?
It makes you reroll. You can reroll a dice a turn, I think, or maybe just reroll a dice once.
Okay.
Not sure. It's something to do with rerolls. Then he's got an Adept on Pyromancy for some pew pew. 16 Citadel Guard with Flintlock Axes. It seems to be the popular choice at the moment. And then his list gets pretty unique. So he's got 4 units of Vassals with Spears and Shields. He's got a 21 and 3 20s. So these are like your Hobgoblin guys.
Yeah.
They're scoring, they're pretty good. When they're around dwarves, they get to reroll their charge ranges and they get battle focus.
But they're just super cheap, though. They're super cheap.
Yeah, 160 points for 20
bodies,
just.
Yeah. Chaff.
Yeah, and then the ones with the chieftains can play pretty wide because they get an extra 6 inches onto their discipline.
Okay.
The range they pick up discipline. So 24
for the general.
Yeah, so they can kind of be anywhere on the board, really, I guess, picking up things and
within reason, right?
Yeah, you can play quite wide and create problems. 5 Kadim Incarnates, 2 Kadim Chariots, and the crew have great weapons. 5 Vassal Cavalry for some chaff, 2 Vassal Slingshots, and then an Infernal Engine with a Rock Crusher. So it's like D3 grinds at strength 6 on a res 7 train with a 3-up armor.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get through.
Okay, so what do we think about this matchup?
I think Jake wins it.
Yeah, I think on the matchup, right? I mean, the bull is going to be hard for the vampires to pin down. The Infernal Engine is going to be horrid to deal with. I mean, the levies are nothing. They won't be very useful, I don't think, in this matchup.
They can go pick up the objectives and just disappear then.
Yeah, exactly. The slingshots, I mean, yeah.
Put flammable down, or they can pick up some wounds, but they can do the flammables so that the Kadim and the Kadim chariots are rerolling.
Maybe the ghouls in this matchup will be quite good.
I think the Kadim eat them.
Yeah?
I haven't used the new Kadim much, but the old Kadim used to love ghouls because you've no armor.
Yeah, I guess.
So
you get all those strength 4, right?
Yeah, he's going to have you usually run them 4 wide, so you have 4 D3 strength 4 attacks with grinds, and then 15 attacks strength 5 as well.
Okay, so the Kadim will do work in this game.
Yeah, and some stomps and stuff. I think the Kadim are going to blow up one of those smaller units of ghouls pretty easily if they get at them.
I think even the Barrowguard can be kind of ignored a bit, or just he's got a cultism.
They only have lethal strike. Do they have lethal strike against everything? Or is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I think even so, nothing can Jake can just avoid them if he wants to, and just whittle them down with pyro and a bit of shooting.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think this is Jake's to.
Yeah, I think a small win for Jake is pretty much on the cards here. But
Yeah,
I think
unless.
this side of things is a bit tighter than the first two games.
Yeah, I think so. Unless Mikey can, I don't know, just dice off the train and stuff and get a load of lucky, quick combats that lets him walk Jake down quickly. But I don't think it's gonna happen.
No. Cool. So what's the points prediction for this one?
I'm gonna give 15 to Jake. I think
15. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
gonna say it's a 12. I think a
he's
small
gonna win the
small.
secondary and he's gonna pick up some things. I think so. I'm gonna give him the
Okay.
15.
All right. So that wraps up the quarterfinals of House of War, or at least what we're going to predict. So
Yeah,
I think what we can do is we'll come back next week and see how the games went, and then talk about the semi-finals.
yeah, should be interesting.
Awesome. So thanks again, James, for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. And it's always fun.
And we'll speak to you next time. So if you
Yeah,
want to get in touch with the show, you can find us on Twitter, you can find us on SoundCloud, you can find me on the Ninth Age Forum at Henrypmiller. You can probably find James on the forum as well.
yeah, I think I'm at James MacDonnel.
So send some shit messages to him if you think we've got the predictions all wrong.
Yeah, I definitely have. Like, I clearly know nothing. Well, neither of us do if we're knocked out.
We didn't even make it. So
yeah,
and congrats to the guys that made it through the group stages. Hopefully you guys are gonna make it to the final. Trent, Jeff, we're counting on you guys to show us to show the rest of the world that we're not as bad as we might look.
yeah, a Jeff Trent final will make us look real good.
Yeah, so that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
All right, cheers, James. I'll see you on the next one.
Cheers, Henry. Thanks.